Yep.
Nancy
It's
making
me.
that commotion?
I'm very clumsy today.
Okay, I'd like to call the regular town board meeting on September 11th, 2018 to order. Please rise, we'll pledge to the flag. There will be a moment of silence after the Pledge of Allegiance on the 17th year anniversary for the people who died both during and after 9/11 terrorism attack on the United States.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. First item of business is approval of minutes. We have one set. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the August 14th, 2018 regular town board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Does anybody want to talk on any of the items on the agenda at this public session? Okay, then we'll skip that one. Go into supervisors' comments. The macadam work on the driveway, parking areas, and paths has been completed. The highway department will soon start the landscaping around the new macadam areas. We thank you for your cooperation during the paving operations. The town board workshops on 2019 tentative budget will be held on Thursdays, October 4th for the highway budget and October 11th for the general fund budget. They both start at 7 p.m. in the town hall. I called New York State Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett on September 7th to see the results of our grant requests. She will be funding a new ramp and automatic door for the main entrance of the library and replacement of the old highway garage roof. We did not get the funding for more solar panels or for the town complex standby generator. A public workshop was held on September 5th with Jewel Assets Incorporated to hear their proposal for their Community Choice Aggravation, commonly seen as CCA program. The program would have all the electric usage consumed in the town and currently provided by Central Hudson be totaled, and they would then go to the open market to get a fixed reduced price for several years. To further explore this opportunity, they will return in mid-November to provide the presentation to the town board and community. It will be broadcast live when done. As part of Dutchess County's Year of the Veteran, they are having a Veterans Parade on Sunday, September 30th at 1 p.m. step-off at the intersection of Market and Cannon Streets, down Main Street to Juarez Park in the city of Poughkeepsie. A special event honoring Gold Star families will be held at the park. Any veteran can march in the parade, no uniform required, with your town's veterans. If you'd like to march or need more information, call Division of Veterans Services at 845-486-2060. And there's a flyer on the back table giving you more information on that. Okay, starting off with Planning Board report.
Planning Board held 2 meetings. August 21st, an application for a 2-lot subdivision on Rimpf Road received sketch plan approval. The board determined the lead agency, went out for seeker review, set the public hearing date for September 21st. An application for a demolition on Lake Pleasant Drive was approved. The owner has 3 small lots, contiguous small lots that she would like to combine into one larger lot as part of the demolition, and they'll presumably want to build a new house. Third application, a wetlands permit request on Schultzville Road. This was for work that was being done within 100 feet of a stream. The applicant had a DEC permit, but neglected to get one from the town. So the ZEO issued a stop work order. The applicant came in with an application for a water law permit from the town. Escrow account was established for engineering review, and no further action was taken on the 21st. The second meeting was on the 4th of September, and that was one item on the agenda, a pretty straightforward lot line adjustment on Schultz Hill Road. Owner of contiguous lots transferring 1/3 of an acre from one lot to the next. And the lot line application was approved. End of report.
Thank you. Next one is zoning board of appeals.
ZBA met on the 23rd. Only one item on the agenda, an applicant on Shadwell Lane who had received a variance as well as a special permit to build a accessory dwelling unit. Was coming up on 1 year since that approval had been granted. No work had been done. The variance will expire after a year, and so the applicant applied for an extension, which the ZBA granted for another year. End of report.
Conservation Advisory Committee, CAC.
The CAC didn't meet this month since our last town board meeting. Their regular meeting is tomorrow at 4, but I would like to add that the library and the CAC are presenting Deer and Your Garden, How to Coexist. The speaker is Brad Roller, who will share his extensive knowledge about deer-resistant plants and deer deterrence from his years of work as IES Grounds and Display Manager, and the program is at the library this Thursday at 6:30.
Okay. Recreation Committee.
Recreation Committee, our meetings are not coincide with these meetings. However, we do have a meeting the last Monday of the month. I do have a report here, the summer program we considered a success. However, the first week we canceled because of lack of enrollment. We are getting a jump start on 2019 early so that we can see that it gets on the web way early, and we're going to introduce signs around the community, et cetera, because we think it was more of a communication problem than an interest problem. We are looking at signs, more explicit sign for the gate at the Franmark Park to let people know that they can come into the park until the beginning of November, but park hours, and try to see if we can get someone to open and close the park gate so that someone is not using the park after hours. We're looking at equipment, quite a bit of equipment, picnic tables, benches, and grills, which we'll talk about with you tomorrow, Ray, for our 2019 budget. One of the things I just want to bring up very quickly is we had a lifeguard shortage this year. And as a result, we felt we needed the last few weeks of the summer program to actually reduce the amount of usage on the swimming, the amount of swimming, the opportunity to swim 5 days a week, 7 days a week. We had to reduce it by 2 days the last couple weeks. We're going to do our best to try to recruit lifeguards, additional lifeguards this year. A lot of them have gone away to college and they're just not available. We're also looking at at Friends Park. That is in need of a lot of equipment, fence replacing, and the roofs on 2 of the dugouts at each park are also in poor shape and need to be replaced. So we'll be talking about that at budget time. And other than that, we're still trying to pursue using the basketball court for leagues. But that didn't materialize this year, so we're hoping that next year we might be able to do that. It would be more or less after hours in the evening, and hopefully it wouldn't interfere with the usage of the teens that want to use the park during the day. End of report.
Thank you.
Any possibilities of maybe offering some type of a certification for lifeguards? I mean, is it just a shortage of kids in the town, or is it a shortage of certified, qualified people?
certified qualified people at this point, but we can certainly look into that. I'll bring that up to Dan on Monday meeting.
I mean, because I know that, like the Red Cross comes in and teaches it for the kids that are in the camp, but maybe we can extend it, a little further out and get some kids certified so that, we have a better
No,
availability of
that's
kids.
a good suggestion, because that really dictates whether we have swimming or not, so,
Right.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, done?
Yep.
Building inspector.
Okay, building inspector. Number of building permits that were issued this period were 12. The number of COs and CCs were 23. The number of title searches, again, were 12. The amount of mileage that he logged during this period was 144 miles. And the construction costs that for this period was $538,200. And there were 2 large renovations, one on Sunset and one on Tobin Drive, both for $150,000. That made up most of the money. End of report.
Thank you. Zoning administrator?
3 items on his report this month. Reviewed 19 permit applications of various types, solar panels, pools, renovations, oil tanks, and additions to properties. 2 specific items that he is pursuing on Folk Hill Road, a certified notice of violation has been served on the owner of a property having to do with clutter in the front yard. The violations have not been remedied, and so he is preparing for action, and the town will impose penalties and may have to go to court if necessary to resolve it in accordance with the town code. There's also a property on Long Pond Road, which is in a severe state of disrepair. He's working on, the ZEO is working on condemnation proceedings. First step will be a building inspection with the approval of the owner, and the determination and findings will be reported with follow-up. And that's the report.
Thank you. Next one is highway.
We had a lot of rain, so there was a storm cleanup on waterways and falling trees, replacing culvert pipes on Shadlow Lane. They cut dead trees with the bucket truck, which is a shared service. They couldn't do that until we got the bucket truck back. Shared service is working very well for us, actually. Began servicing the winter trucks, preparing for, replacing hydraulic hoses, tires, miscellaneous repairs. And I would mention, it didn't get mentioned last month, we did get our new truck that we had approved, and it'll be ready to go for winter, which is great, because we've been working with a couple of very old trucks. Cut brush around the town, roadside mowing, and dirt patching is ongoing. End of report.
Thank you. Scenic and historic roads?
The committee did not meet this month, but did review an application for the, actually it was the subdivision that I mentioned a little while ago, the 2-lot subdivision on Rimpf Road, and had no objections to the application.
Okay. Library report.
Due to the Rosh Hashanah holiday, the library trustees did not meet on the second Monday of the month. It has been rescheduled for this Monday, September 17th.
Anything else you want to say? No? Okay. Altice, that's Cablevision.
We received a notice from Altice dated August 31st, 2018, enumerating several pricing changes for new residential and commercial customers. The monthly sports surcharge is increasing by $1 for new customers subscribing to Optimum Core. All video customers currently pay $4.99 monthly surcharge, and this surcharge is increasing to $5.99 for new customers. And new customers currently pay $19.99 per month for Broadcast Basic, and that's increasing to $24.99 per month. As always, all pricing information is available online at optimum.net.
But this is only for new residential,
It's
not
for new.
current residential. Okay.
Okay. Zoning revision.
Nothing new.
Okay. Safety committee.
Oh,
Wake up.
yeah, oh, I was reading something. Actually, I had a sheet which I will drop off tomorrow. I could not get my printer to work, But basically, I met with the safety person last month, and we went over what's really required, focusing on training and compliance with OSHA. As far as compliance with OSHA, we are in very good shape with the highway. That's where our biggest exposure is. One thing I realized is we need to talk to our custodian, Barbara, because I'm sure she uses a lot of solvents and things, and I'm sure she doesn't have anything that really says if she gets something in the eye or whatever, what she should do. And this is really a manufacturing sheet to tell you what to do in case of an
MSDS
emergency.
sheets.
Right. I would like to propose that we do not have safety on the agenda every month because it's very slow go. What I'd like to do is give a written report, just hand it to each council person
Okay.
as to what we're doing, and on a quarterly basis, report some progress, because it's going to take a little time to put all these plans in place, okay? We're focusing on education, which is really bloodborne, violence in the workplace, and two other things. And I think with the documentation that's furnished to me, I think we can do the training in-house and won't have to have it budgeted. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cemeteries.
Cemeteries, busy month. And actually, I have a proposal that I would like to present to the board as a sort of a consensus thing, not a formal resolution, but I've been in touch with the town attorney, and we have actually come up with a plan, which would be as follows. He will prepare actually two resolutions covering abandonment of Pleasant Plains and Providence Cemetery, which will come to the board for review for the next meeting, which we're required to do by law, as you know. We need to formally accept the abandonment resolutions, and we can do that through a town law. Presumably, we'd have a public hearing and then vote on it in November. And that would take effect beginning the first of the year. And that will include maintenance as well as ownership and transfer of existing
Assets.
funds. Yeah, assets, exactly. Okay. The third cemetery is the Schultzville, is a little bit, the situation's a little bit more complicated. The idea there is that they would like to maintain ownership at least through April, which is when they have their next annual meeting, and will vote on transferring ownership. But in the meantime, the cemetery would like us to begin maintaining it as of the first of the year. Now, of course, there will be no maintenance expenses until March or April, since at least the first quarter of the year, there's no work involved. But they would like the agreement to become effective. And what the attorney will do will be to prepare not a resolution, but a memorandum of agreement or understanding, which would transfer the responsibilities for the maintenance from the trustees of the cemetery to us. And then in April, presumably after they have their annual meeting, assuming they vote to transfer the ownership, we would go through the same process with them as we did with the other two. What the attorney would like to do, or suggests, I should say, to do in addition, is to make sure that all the Ts are crossed, all the Is are dotted, to actually go through the formal process of transferring ownership of the property itself from the associations to the town. Not that it would necessarily be a problem if we don't, but this ties up any loose ends that might happen to be there.
Just like you move a house from
Yeah,
you
exactly.
to me.
So we
Same
would do a
process.
title search, and then go ahead, formalize a deed transfer, register with the county clerk, and all the rest. Now, the idea is that we'll do these things simultaneously, because they're not necessarily dependent on each other. So we can proceed essentially on parallel tracks and start the process basically any time. After the board votes to accept ownership of the two cemeteries, because that's really what starts the process. That's the official beginning to the process. So presumably within the next month or so, we'll be able to start doing this, with the idea being to try to resolve it by the early part of next year. In the meantime, I'm working with Dan and also with Theron to try to come up with a budget for how much it's going to cost the town, at least for next year, because we'll have to factor that into our 2019 budget for maintenance. So assuming that scenario makes sense to the folks at this table, I'll give them green light to go ahead. And
We gotta do it.
yes,
I was going to suggest that Theron, Dan, you and I get together and try to go through the logistics of equipment. And because this is the budget process and we need to determine if we have hits to the budget, certainly had some time, you
Yes.
know, so who's going to do what?
Yeah, because Theron's already mentioned that
Yes.
he thinks that we need another trailer,
Yeah.
which means we may need another truck, which means we may need another lawnmower,
I think
so.
it's Dan who thinks we do. Is that right?
No, I talked to Theron,
Okay, I had the impression.
and he
that-
mentioned it,
Okay,
because
my-
he has a whole plan of what he'd like to do.
Yeah, yeah. I was under the impression that he thinks we could use the existing equipment, so we'll have to sit down and hash.
Yeah, and I know you requested information from Dan, and I told him to just wait till we talk.
Okay, fine. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. There will be money transferred as part of the,
Right.
so at least, I mean, we're not gonna have to,
But now-
money will be available
But
to,
now that money's the money that they have to have in escrow. Do we have to have it in escrow? No.
no.
Okay.
Only, what is it, certain funds are earmarked that we can't touch.
Basically, it's just like we run the budget now.
But most
except
of it
we'll
we have
a-
access to.
Instead of a highway budget, we'll also have a cemetery
Cemetery
budget,
budget.
a separate
Yeah.
checking account.
Apparently, the way the system works is that the cemeteries themselves are restricted in terms of what they,
Yeah.
but when they
Right, they
transfer,
don't want you to go broke.
but when they transfer the money to the town, we don't have
go
to.
broke.
We don't, well, yeah.
No, because we have taxing authority.
We
Yeah.
don't
Yes.
have to follow the rules the way they have to follow, the same kinds of rules. So the money will be there to handle basic maintenance, at least in the short run, while we figure out a more long-term plan.
Okay. Thank you.
So
It's
I'll give-
a lot of logistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's procedural, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, it's process is really what it is. So I will give, I'll give the attorney a go-ahead to start pulling this stuff together, and hopefully we'll have something concrete to present at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, the transmission lines. As I said before, New York State ISO, Independent System Operator, is advancing a $1 billion project proposed by New York State Power Authority and North American Transmission Consortium. This is for the transmission line going from Albany to Pleasant Valley through Clinton. The consortium being selected was expected in July, but not proposed yet. My guess, there will be no information available until after the November general election. There will be no power line workshop after this town board meeting tonight. The next one is WIC.
The Wappinger Creek Watershed Intermunicipal Council, they hold their meetings quarterly, and they didn't have one this month. The next one's in October. But we received correspondence that the Village of Wappingers Falls is working with partners KC Engineering and Cornell Cooperative Extension of Dutchess County to update the 9-element watershed management plan for the Wappinger Creek. The project includes ongoing water quality sampling, development of a watershed characterization report, and recommendations for management strategies. It will also eventually highlight a number of plans for potential implementation projects within the watershed focused on water quality, flood mitigation, stream bank stabilization, and aquatic habitat restoration and connectivity. There is a public outreach and engagement is critical throughout the process, so this Cornell Cooperative Extension is hosting the first of 3 public meetings for the project on Thursday, September 20th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Dutchess County Farm and Home Center in Millbrook.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports?
I'm like, just a quick footnote, Dean, if you want to mention that we're having for the zoning revision, we're having the packages prepared, and I think Carol says that they are ready or soon to be ready
They're ready.
for the zoning revision. The hard copies, was it the 20 or 50 hard, 25, 50 hard copies? For people who well for the board and other such people, and also folks who don't have access to the internet. So I don't know if you want to add that to your comments on the,
And if memory,
Yeah, the comment's already passed, but thank you. The last thing I saw was Carol was going to make sure that they were all done properly before he,
We did, yeah. We
Bulk
went, took a
copied.
look at them. Yep, they look good. They
Good.
did a good job on them.
Good.
Mhm.
and I'm trying to remember, if memory serves me, we're going to get copies.
yes,
But- And
hard copies.
pe-
yes.
people can get copies. However, we're not going to open up anything for discussion until
Till January.
the
Till January.
January.
I think about half of those 50 copies are earmarked for town
Board
board,
members.
planning board,
Right.
ZBA,
Right.
officials.
Right.
and then the others are available for people, for the public.
And they are online.
So-
I
And they
mean,
are
by
online.
chapter, so you don't have to download the entire thing. If there's a particular chapter somebody's particularly interested in, or that they've attended a workshop, they can look at it by chapter.
And that's already there, so.
That's on the web, and it's easily found on the front page. Yep.
Okay, that's it. Move on to announce active shooter seminar.
Well, tomorrow's the big night. We've been waiting for a while, and we finally got it to the point where it's happening tomorrow here, Town Hall, 6 o'clock. This is a seminar called Active Shooter Stop the Bleed Training, sponsored by Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. The last I heard, there were something in the neighborhood of 60 people had signed up, plus or minus a few. So we should be able to handle it, accommodate the seminar in this room, since we can take a lot more than that insofar as the code is concerned. There's still time to sign up. There are flyers in the back for anybody who's interested. You can pick one up and sign up on the web. No, there's no charge for this. It's sponsored by, as I said, sponsored by the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, and I think it's well worth attending. It's only 2 hours, and I think it'll be important for people to hear what the sheriff's people have to say. So, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, here, in this room. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Next one is discuss RFP for 2019 town engineer.
So, obviously, everybody at this table has been on all of the emails, and we know what's happening, but for everybody out there and watching at home, we currently use Morris Associates as our town engineer planner. We've been using them for quite a few years in a row. They get appointed every year in January, and I felt that periodically we should check in on it and make sure that we're doing our due diligence, getting the right services, paying the right amount of money, that there isn't maybe another competitor out there that can do a better job for less money or whatever. So I wanted to open it up to bids, but I also think that if we do this, instead of doing it on a yearly basis so that we have more of a set schedule, maybe we can sign a 2-year contract with the planner or the engineer with a 2-year extension option at the end of it. So then every 4 years, we could go out to bid for one of these things. So it's not something we have to worry about every year, and we just have a set schedule.
Good idea.
So I would,
So why are you just alienating the engineer?
not quite.
Well, you are, because you've targeted
yes.
that, and
Yeah, I have.
you've made a point at that.
Well,
and-
it was because it was something I noticed in my first meeting, and obviously I'm new at this. It was something I noticed in my first meeting that it was the engineer, so I had written a note to myself to come back to it, revisit it in August so that we could talk about it.
Well, I
But-
think the thing that sparked it was the planner. Now, if you go through the chain of how the planner worked out, was that we put out for bid the zoning revision plan and Green Plan and Hudsonia and the current, at the time, planner all bid, and the current planner came in with the lowest price. And
Okay.
I mean, I think the next closest one was $20,000 more, so it was significant more why we chose the planner that we had as our town planner. And when the town planner basically merged his practice in with another firm and no longer do municipal contracts, it was Elliot that suggested that we use Morris Associates because he had worked with the planner that worked at Morris Associates, and he was happy and satisfied with her. And because we were satisfied with that, our engineer, because we've used them so long, we all said, yeah, that's fine. And over the years, they've never raised their price. And I'll tell you, from prior to me even coming on the town board, I've heard nightmares of other vendors, attorneys and so on, who've worked for this town that have done a horrible job.
Oh, yeah.
So price is not always the best, barometer as to getting a service from somebody. So when you have a good service and they're not raising their price, to say that we've been remiss, I don't think we've been remiss. I just think that we've been, I don't even want to say complacent. We've just been happy with the service that we got, and because haven't been any increases in price, we felt comfortable with awarding year after year. And if you look at some of the other things that we've done in this town, like the biodiversity and the habitat mapping, that was done by Hudsonia. The farmland protection was done by Hudsonia and Green Plan, and the comprehensive plan was done by Green Plan. So we've used other services, and we've put them out to bid as necessary. It just seems to me that you're alienating or you're targeting one particular vendor. So
I
it's-
certainly, I know it seems that way. I do have lists of other, of other services that we use that I was planning on bringing up at later times, because I knew I wasn't prepared for it yet. But I was prepared for the Morris Associates and for the planner one. I am more than prepared to go to bid on this and to say that when it comes back, Morris Associates will show that they are giving us the best services for the best price, and I'd be happy to reappoint them. But I don't think we've done our due diligence to find that out.
Well, legally, we're not required to go out to bid because it's called professional services. So that's.
I
you're
understand
going
what-
be- No, I'm just saying, you're going beyond that. Now, in your private life, and I'm not asking your details, do you go every 2 years out and change your doctor because you want to get a cheaper doctor, or a doctor that lives close to you, or one that has a different colored wall in his building?
I don't pay for my private life with taxpayer dollars.
Understand, but I'm talking about, it's the same concept of having to change people here. If you go and change everything every 2 years, there is a diminishment in the ability of the people to be very quick and able to do business.
I think you're just assuming, though, that because I want to go out to bid, that I do want to change. I'm hoping that Morris Associates comes back showing us that they're giving us better service for better prices. I really do. I hope that.
Yeah, I've gone through.
But there's no
other
way that we
people.
know that. There's like 15 other planners that work in different towns, and that's just Dutchess County.
Oh, yeah,
There's no way that we know.
yeah. I've gone out for attorneys and these in the past. You think there's a lot out there, but by the time it comes to the point of getting things back, you only get 2 or 3 at most.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's not the proliferation that you think is out there.
That's,
And some of those people that you had on your list were not even local businesses. I mean, their headquarters are somewhere else, and I noticed one particular one happens to be and
Morris
forgive
Associates is
me.
part of a much larger company that's not based here in Dutchess
Well,
County.
that just
It is
happened.
now,
That just
yeah.
happened.
It is now.
Still the truth.
That just happened.
You know,
So,
But the people aren't moving.
I think there's arguments on both sides. From a compliance point of view, I think the question could be raised, have we done anything lately to kind of look at the competitiveness of, I think Morris Associates is the bomb, all right? They've done a wonderful job for us, and they know us well, all right? So there's an argument on both sides. And, but from a compliance point of view, I think it's reasonable to ask the question. Have we,
well, again, and it just seems like we're alienating one
I hope we
over
don't,
others.
I hope we don't view as trying to spend taxpayer money wisely as alienating anyone.
No, I'm saying you're.
I'm not trying to
You're pointing
alienate
just an
anybody.
engineer.
We'll be pointing at others as time goes on. I got 3 more years on this board.
But typically what we do is we put out for bid everything and then let it come back if that's the way it's gonna be. I mean, if that's the way you wanna look at it, unless you wanna do it like a staggering thing. But again, there's a point where, and as to Ray's point, that when you're happy with the service, it's kinda like, you're better off with the person you know than the person you don't know, even though the other one, like the grass is not greener on the other side. Well, you know, all those little, you know, things. We've been satisfied with the service. He hasn't raised his price, and, you know, in a sense, we've been happy with it. Now, I don't know what's gonna happen with this new merger. I mean, they may wanna raise their price, and that would certainly warrant saying, okay, well, if you're gonna raise your price, now we gotta put it out for bid. But, you know, I think that over the years, we've been satisfied with the service, and he hasn't raised his price, and so we've done it that way. I mean, if you wanted to break out even the planning and say, we should split it up and have someone as a separate planner, I mean, there's arguments to have them together. I mean, so,
But I think the issues, I don't think anybody disagrees with what Dean is saying, and those are issues to be, certainly, there are factors in making a decision. But it doesn't necessarily preclude you from holding out the option that there may be other reasons to consider as well.
I just want to know why we're alienating one over the whole.
Well, I don't think alienating is quite the right word.
I knew that this January 1st, we were going to have to vote to reapprove the planner again. Somebody.
You're right.
So doing this in September lets us release bid packages at the end of September, open them in October, vote on it in November, and gives them then a month and a half to transition if we were to choose a new one. That's why I did this now. It wasn't an alienation of anybody.
So you're just talking about the town planner for the planning board?
Yes.
That's all you're talking about?
Well, no, the engineer.
The engineer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's two different positions.
That's why I'm trying to separate this out. Which are you talking about? The town engineer or the planner on the planning board that's an engineer?
Who now works for Morris Associates.
Yeah, just so happens. it's
Just so
the
happens
same.
because that's what we had to take emergency
Yeah.
action.
I was talking Morris Associates, not the individual planner who now works for Morris Associates. The
So again,
engineer.
you're pointing to one person and one company, and that's what I'm taking issue with, is that it seems like you're targeting one person, and I
So-
don't understand why.
Well, no, it's a company, it's not a person.
It's not a person at
Well,
all.
are we
Our
talking about the
arrangement is with
engineering
Morris.
position, or are we talking about the planning position?
Well, I don't know.
The
That's a
town
good question.
engineer,
We can
that's
do
what I
both.
just asked
Do
them.
both.
Why not do both?
It says do both.
I mean, they happen to be the same, so
Well,
you'll be telling me that I'm targeting one person,
but
but
they don't have
but
it.
I'm happy to do both positions.
And they weren't both up until, what?
And then we have the town attorney, or attorney for the town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you can get crazy here. I mean, you can say everybody has to rebid. I mean.
Well, what I'm saying is, and I liked your idea about staggering. That's why I said maybe we can, instead of having a 1 year, every year having to reappoint it, go into a 2-year contract with the option of another 2 years, so we wouldn't have to revisit this for 4, possibly. I would imagine it would be 4.
Well, going with a new person, then I can see why we only want to have 1 year to see if we like them or not. I mean, it's, you know, again, you know, I've seen and heard, and I've dealt with people in the past, before I was even on the town board, who were horrible.
Yeah, they look good on paper, but didn't perform. And I've had attorneys like that I wish I never had.
Yeah.
Well, that's a reason to stay with who you have.
Yeah.
But
Right.
It's not the only reason.
No,
That's all Mike, I think that's what Michael's saying is, there are a number of factors to consider. That's one of them, but there are others as well. Why close out your options without knowing what your options are? And if it turns out that Morris is the best game in town, stay with
So
him.
be it.
No argument.
I think Morris and Associates have done a stellar job over the years. However, the question is fair to ask,
Yeah.
so.
So if we're going to stagger, then why don't we just say, because the planning position was the one that was a last-minute decision here, let's start with the planning position. And then maybe next year, let's do the engineering position, and then the year after that, if you want, let's do the attorney's position. I
I'm
mean,
more than happy to stagger that way. Just as long as we are always making sure that we're doing these kinds of things, that we're reviewing our practices and
But like I
reviewing how we're
said, you know,
spending
our,
money.
our position in the past has always been that, okay, you're not raising your prices, we like your service, we'll just keep what we got. I mean, because we did put it out to bid at one point.
oh, yeah.
When was it that we did it?
It was probably the year I came in, because I kind of remember about it.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, oh, yeah. But again, they've kept their price the same over all those
And the
11
service has been
10
excellent.
years, and the service has been good, so, you know, sometimes it doesn't pay to disturb the cart.
I'd like to make a motion that the town board authorizes the town clerk to advertise for sealed bids for town planning and engineering services. Bid packets can be available September 27th, 2018. The bids can be returned at 10:15 a.m. on October 25th, 2018, opened at 10:30 a.m. on that date. The bid will be awarded on the November 13th, 2018 regular town board meeting.
Question,
Yes.
where's the bid packet?
We would have to work on it between now and the 27th.
You gotta have a document. We don't vote on a blank check.
Well, this is why I wanted to have the discussion tonight about, having a 2-year contract and all these other things, but nobody even wants to have the conversation, so.
No, it's not that a matter of conversation, but like I said, I started this whole conversation as to, it seemed like you were attacking Morris Associates, period.
I am not.
And so, it came up in your conversation as to the planner now being, position now being performed by Morris Associates. I mean, if you want to split it back out and say, okay, let's put the planner's position out there, I mean, I would say that's fair game because it was something that we gave, in a sense, gave to Morris Associates at the last minute because we had no other choice. So it would be reasonable to say that we're going to put the planning position back out for bid because we never had that opportunity. And then if we want to talk about another one at a later date, then that's fine too. But you need to have a bid package as to what the terms are, as to know what we're bidding, or what we're agreeing to, and what they're bidding on.
So then let's do the planner like we discussed.
Well, you'll have to write up the bid
I
packet
know-
and
I
put it
know.
out for next month.
And we'll do this for next month, but I want to know what I'm writing up, because I don't want to bring something and then you're going to have a million questions and vote it down next month. So I want to make sure
I
we're
don't have
all
a
on
lot
the
of
same
questions,
page.
so it's just.
I wanna see-
My one question was why you alienate Morris Associates.
I'm not alienating anybody. I'm making sure that I'm protecting the taxpayers of the town.
And I think we've been doing that.
I didn't accuse you of
Okay.
not.
So,
So would we want to do a 2-year contract, or do you want to continue to do it 1 year at a
I
time?
I don't like the 2-year contract, only for the fact that if we do end up awarding it to someone else, again, I've seen bad people, and I don't want to be stuck on a 2-year contract on a bad person.
That's right.
All right, so 1-year contract. But then how about we give ourselves
But-
the option of 3 1-year extensions, so that we don't have to do
Yeah,
this
right.
every year,
Or even even one 2-year
based on
extension.
performance.
or 1 2-year, yeah.
Yeah, do a year and then a 2-year extension, so you're not doing this every year.
May I just clarify?
Mm-hmm.
Are we now talking about the engineer for the planning board, or are we talking about the town engineer?
The town planner.
Town planner.
So the town planner is the engineer who works specifically for the planning board.
Planning board.
I just want to
Yes.
be clear
Yes.
for the minutes that I'm getting it correct.
Not exactly. I mean, Neil Wilson was not an engineer.
No, he was an attorney by trade, he wasn't an engineer at
Yeah,
all.
so you don't want to, because engineer and planner, no, you don't want to mix
He was
them
a
up.
town planner.
So
I'm
just
just
before,
clarifying it in my
Town
mind
planner for
that
the planning board.
planner
Yes.
is a Morris Associates engineer.
at the moment,
I'm
yes.
just trying to
Yes.
clarify
Yeah,
that that is the,
Yes.
even though they're all Morris Association, there's a planner,
Yes.
and then there's a town
Yes.
engineer, correct?
Yes.
So we're talking about the planner for the planning board.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's it.
Thank you.
Right, right.
So 1-year contract.
How about a 2-year renewal, so you don't have to do this every year?
I think that's what we do by re-awarding it every year without having to put it out for bid. I think that's,
What I'm saying
that would be
is-
up to us to accept that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is so that future town boards, because we're not all going to be here forever, don't have to
kidding.
continue, do not have to continue to have this conversation. We can set a time period and a schedule so that every subsequent number of years, we're making sure that we're getting the best deal and the best services.
Just leave it at the 1 year and
I'd
then,
leave it 1 year and we just, if we like them, we just reappoint them.
All right, I'll email you with what I get. Then.
Okay,
So next month, we'll have it on the agenda.
With your bid
With a
package.
packet.
Yeah, with a packet.
I think Carol has a question, no?
no, I'll let it go.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so there's no action for us to take at this meeting then?
No, sir.
Okay. You'll come back next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Michael, what exactly are you coming back with?
I'm going to come back with a bid packet for a town planner for the planning board, and we can vote on sending that out to bids.
Very good,
Right.
thanks.
Okay, the next one is putting on the table local law to override the tax cap. What happens is we got to have the law passed before we approve the budget. We approved the budget on the 20th of November, so we got to start now to do it. We normally do it whether we override or don't override. But if you don't have it and you have to override, you can't enact it after this date. So this is just to give us the ability to do it if we need to. If we don't, we don't. So I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves the resolution number of 2018 entitled "A Local Law to Override the Tax Levy Limit for Fiscal Year 2019, setting a public hearing on October 9th, 2018 at 6:25 PM and directing the town clerk to cause publication of such." Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Every year, the town justices have to attend a conference to keep, there's mandatory training. So I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves Justice Seelbach attending mandatory training from September 23 to September 26, 2018 in Niagara Falls at a cost not to exceed the budgeted amount. Is there a second?
Second. Question.
Yeah.
Didn't she just go in February to the New York
You
City
know,
one?
I thought we had approved her to go somewhere.
I thought she
Yeah.
went to the New York City one.
I don't recall. I just don't know.
Or was
Wasn't
that her
that,
clerk?
wasn't that Liz?
No, Colleen went,
Colleen?
yeah.
Was
No,
that
Colleen
Liz?
went to Buffalo or wherever.
Didn't we approve Liz to go to,
Maybe it was
went-
Liz that
yeah.
went to New York. I remember
Liz
somebody
went
going
to
to New
New
York. I just
Yeah, Liz
don't remember
went
who
to
it was.
Colleen went
Liz.
to Lake George
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, the next one is the purchase of a computer. It's not a laptop, this is a
Oh, okay, sorry.
regular computer,
Sorry, I thought it was a laptop.
It's not a laptop, it's a regular? Okay,
just a regular.
all right.
I mean, the tax collector's current laptop is pretty well beat up, down-leveled on operating system, and we struggled through this past tax season using it. We have to upgrade it to the OS Windows 10 and some other new programs that we're getting through the system. So we have to purchase a new desktop. We're not buying a laptop because there's no need for that anymore. I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves the purchase of a Dell Optiplex 3060 Intel i5 PC for the tax collector at a cost not to exceed $1,361.42 off a New York State bid. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will there be additional costs to this for installing and upgrading and so on and so forth?
That's in our normal maintenance.
Okay.
With Fred.
All right, okay.
Okay. The Historical Society in town asked us to provide a supporting letter so that they can get a grant for improvements at their Creek Meeting House. So they sent me a draft of a letter, and I put it all together, and I sent you all copies of it. So I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves a letter of support to be sent to the Clinton Historical Society for their technical assistance grant application to be used for guidance on needed improvements at the Creek Meeting House. Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Question.
Yeah,
So, let me find is it in here?
yeah.
Okay. So, and I have no problem with supporting it and everything else. The last sentence, I found a little arbitrary.
It's past that. You're
It's
going
past
the
it?
wrong way.
Oh, I missed it?
Yeah.
It's one of your last items.
Yeah, I didn't see
actually.
it.
Second to last
Oh.
page.
It is the last page. Oh, because I ripped off the other page. Just saying that they're the most active volunteer group in the town. Seems a little,
He says one of the most.
says one of the most.
Yeah.
Not the most.
It kind of struck me.
Ah,
Like I said, I don't have a problem supporting it or anything else, just found it a little.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Into other items, resignation appointments. I don't have any. Anybody else on? None? Okay, into warrants.
Make a motion, be it resolved, the town board approves the September capital fund warrant vouchers number two totaling $213,803.48. The September general fund warrant vouchers number 347 through 377A-L totaling $26,939.99. And the September highway fund warrant voucher number 181 through 204A totaling $34,499.74. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
And just so everybody knows, that 213 was the new truck that the highway got, so if anybody had a question, what one item was.
Yeah. Supervisors report, I make a motion to approve the August 2018 supervisors report. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Motion to move funds.
Oh, yeah, I just had to stop and think of what I was doing here. I make a motion to move the following, to approve the following resolution, be it resolved that the town board approves resolution number of 2018, a motion to move funds for, at the September 11th, 2018 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Any other items that come before the board? Public discussion? Anybody want to talk in open public comments?
Yes. Make a motion?
Okay, I got to make the motion. I make a motion to open the meeting to public discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. No,
You gotta stand in front of the mic.
Hi, so we're the Punchers, we reside on Deer Ridge
You
Drive.
gotta talk into the
Gotta
mic,
talk into the microphone.
because the TV can't hear you.
Okay, so we're the Punchers, we reside on Deer Ridge Drive, and we've been residents of the town for 24 years, something like that, long time. Love living here, that's why we bought a house here, have had actually a great experience for the most part while we've been here. I guess it's a little disappointing when I looked online and I watched the video from last month where the zoning administrator had put into his report that the smoke odor issue on Deer Ridge Drive was resolved. It's even more disturbing in the fact that there has been multiple complaints submitted to all of you, including the zoning administrator and the town attorney, which have gone completely unacknowledged and ignored. The town actually has a lot of laws and zoning codes in place that the town has adopted and voted in, which are consistent with our comprehensive plan. And they're all designed to protect the quality of life of the residents here, and including your health and enjoyment of your property. Unfortunately, our health and our use and enjoyment of our property is repeatedly being affected by unneighborly, inconsiderate people. And we have submitted numerous complaints that you're probably all aware of, the most recent ones versus the original ones, and I know that the town did attempt to take action a year and a half ago, did try to bring the offenders to court. The town chose what zoning regulations that they were going to attempt to enforce at the time. It was nothing to do, we had no say in that because the town attorney made it very clear he wasn't representing us, he was representing the town. And it's really unfortunate that the ruling in that particular case was not guilty. The judge didn't indicate any justification or reason as to why she ruled the way she did, and we all know, just like when you get a speeding ticket, sometimes you get off on a technicality, doesn't mean you weren't speeding, doesn't mean you weren't breaking the law. Driving a car is legal, but speeding isn't. We have lived, like I said, at our location for at least 18 solid years prior to the individuals moving into the neighborhood who create this continuing and ongoing problem. And I hate to sound like a complainer, but we know what it was like before them. And it's a huge difference in the quality of life after you get people who really don't really care if they're affecting other people on their property. And again, what someone does on their own property, it's fine, everybody has that right. But when it affects me, my health, and my quality of life on my property, my family, my pets, I do care. And when the town actually has voted and has laws in place that are designed to protect people like us who are the victims in this particular situation, because there's nothing we can do to stop from being affected. You know, we've got smoke odors blowing into our house, across our face when we're laying in bed at night. You can't hang laundry out, your clothes stink. I'm cooking in the kitchen, my window's open on a beautiful night, and smoke odors blow into your window as you're trying to cook. Nobody deserves that. This is winter, spring, summer, fall. It just doesn't stop. And I'm disturbed even more so at the fact that the zoning administrator failed to even include it in his report tonight. Just went completely ignored and unaddressed. And again, every single one of you are included on email trails, and I asked to be on the town board agenda so there could be some dialogue back and forth, and I was completely ignored. I am a tax-paying citizen. I've been a long time town of Clinton resident, as has my husband, as have neighbors on either side of me who have also been adversely affected by the same individuals who continue the behavior. I think that the town board has to take the initiative and take a hard look at the zoning administrator's ability and or willingness to enforce the regulations as they're written, not interjecting any personal judgment for what they feel. And I think that the zoning administrator actually needs to seek guidance before he makes his determinations, in this particular case, from the town board members and the town attorney, because it's important. We are being affected. Our last complaint was August 24th, and it went completely ignored. No feedback from anyone. I don't understand what's going on. We are decent neighbors, hardworking people. We love the town of Clinton. We always did. I always wanted to come here. I've got horses, you know. I mean, this was the town, our comprehensive plan. Most people want to live here. You want to enjoy your property. I don't want to sit out on my swing at night and not be able to breathe. And that's how it has an effect. It has an allergic type reaction. When you're inhaling the particulate matter, it affects your health. It's just like smoking a cigarette. I choose not to smoke cigarettes. I lead a healthy lifestyle. And I think if every single one of you were in the same position, where you were very happy where you lived and you had this situation move in and now is repeatedly affecting you, for years now, you know, we have begged and pleaded, and again, the town took an initial initiative, and it wasn't us that chose what was being pursued. And I personally feel that maybe the town didn't choose the best things that should be pursued, and we've had conversations, and I've laid this out in the emails to everybody, and I feel like you guys really need to take a good hard look. And again, we are taxpayers. We've paid many, many years. We're not looking to bother anybody. We just want to enjoy our property. I don't want my house filling with smoke, you know, and again, it doesn't matter, spring, summer, fall. It's sad. You know, I think there should be a correction in the last month's report. It clearly has not been resolved, even though it was reported as being a resolved issue. And we felt like it was important to come and see you all face to face and explain to you how serious the situation is, because nobody should be forced to endure that on their own home and in their property. That's supposed to be your safe haven, and it's no longer that way for us. So please, someone or all of you, take the initiative and get involved. We're not asking the town to go above and beyond. We're just simply asking you to enforce the regulations as they're written. There are numerous regulations in the current town codes as they are written that would be effective and should be used to address this ongoing situation so it doesn't continue. And there are many options for other people who, again, I'm not against burning, but you shouldn't be able to affect somebody on someone else's property. There's propane fire pits out there where you can still enjoy the flame and the fire and have your own camaraderie on your own property without affecting someone else. I can't put a dome on my property to protect me from others. If you guys want to see, I can show you a video of my property with visual smoke on my front property billowing up from the neighbor's house who continues to burn. And I've even tried to offer this evidence to the zoning administrator, and he outright refused it, even as recent as last week. I don't understand. So I would like some follow-up. I don't know who, but whoever gets assigned this, please reach out to me, because we do need to discuss this further. We're begging for the town's help, not asking you to do above and beyond. We're just asking you to help and do what's right. it's not just for us, it's for other people. And I will tell you, the other neighbor was not available to come tonight. I have another neighbor 350 feet south of me that it's affected by the same property. If it's blowing in her house, of course it's blowing in mine, because I'm in closer proximity. And what we're asking is not unreasonable. I certainly wouldn't continue to do something that I knowingly bothered my neighbors and affected their health on their property. So, you know,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
She was here first. Did you want to do public comments? No, you. Okay, I just wanted to not. But I do hope that she gets a response. Okay, Joel, it's your turn.
Just in the nick of time. Joel
Just made
Tyner,
it.
324 Browns Pond Road. I wanted to invite everybody hosting my 25th Repair Cafe, happen at Rhinebeck Town Hall this Saturday, noon to 4 p.m. Get your lamps, vacuum cleaners, bicycles, clothing fixed for free. We have a licensed massage therapist, Valerie Leger, LMT, free back massages, and I believe a free welder, and all that stuff. So that's this Saturday, noon to 4 p.m. at Rhinebeck Town Hall. Also, for the third year in a row, it looks like I'll be hosting a blood drive with the American Red Cross, and that's going to be Saturday, September 22nd, from 10 in the morning till 2 p.m. at Rhinebeck Town Hall. If you'd like to RSVP for that, you can call me at 464-2245 or American Red Cross in Poughkeepsie at 471-0200. Tomorrow night is the monthly meeting of the county legislature. Usually, the second Tuesday when you folks meet is right after when we've had our monthly meeting. So if anybody here would like to come speak up on behalf of the municipalities, we are going to be adding over $800,000 to the Municipal Innovation Grant, which is not a bad thing. But there are $3.2 million in funding requests. And this is going to leave, bringing it from $1 million to $1.8 million, it's still going to leave about $1.4 million worth of funding requests from the municipalities left unfilled. And just by way of context and background, there was a $55 million county fund balance, budget surplus announced a couple months. Last year was announced a $59 million county fund balance, budget surplus. Year before it was announced $57 million. Pretty soon we're talking about real money. If you don't have some background for that, you might not know that from 1996 through 2012, on average, there's only about $20 million left over each year. So the county has a lot of money. I believe that all of the funding requests from the town of Clinton, Village of Rhinebeck, town of Rhinebeck for municipal funding should be met by the county. The last thing I'll say is that I'm just a little bit disturbed that the Poughkeepsie Journal's done a couple very strong editorials calling for an end to pay-to-play. The county-level campaign finance reform like they passed in Rockland County and Orange County should be passed in Dutchess County, and they're not even allowing onto the agenda for a committee meeting. The Albany Times Union just did a big report on this, but nobody read it. It was buried. There's no RFP right now. The county executive changed it late last year. It used to be any county contract over $20,000, automatic RFP process. Now it doesn't kick in till $40,000. I don't think that's good government. And CNS Engineers of Syracuse, Barton and Logidis from outside Dutchess County have gotten tons of contracts, a lot of them consulting contracts, no bid contracts, and the donations to the county executive just within days. It's not good. We're talking about $80 million in county contracts over the last 7 years, 72 companies involved, and $400,000 that just happened to go to the county executive. It's wrong.
Okay, thank you. I guess there's nobody else here, so I make a motion to return to regular order of business. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Any other items that you want to discuss? I make a motion to adjourn the town board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned. See you next month.